Rich, don't touch any of that, okay? You're being very good.
I'm ready to.
Can you switch the video?
Okay, we're going to get going with our panel here. I'm going to introduce Mr. Photographer Boy here, Mr. Garcia, and yeah, he says we have to twit. And Manuela is going to introduce the panel. So I'm really honored to be able to introduce Victor Garcia here. He was a member of the board of the directors for the Toronto 2015 Pan Am Parapan Games here, representing Ontario, which were an amazing success. So something to be proud of. I'm sure a life legend of goals happened there, so thank you. He's a senior fellow at Bell Canada in business markets and an adjunct professor at the School of Business at York University, Big Data and Analytics Post-Master's Degree Program. Prior to this, he was the Chief Technology Officer for Hewlett-Packard Canada. Victor has been recognized by his peers for his business, technology, and innovation work, his corporate social responsibility, and community involvement. He's been a member of several trade missions representing Canada and Ontario to Latin America. Victor's experience also includes serving as a director or advisor for several organizations and currently sits on the board of Canadian Hispanic Congress and the Toronto Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. And we're very honored to have Victor here to moderate this panel. And Manuela maybe can introduce all of the panelists here, and then we'll get into the panel discussion.
Thank you kindly, Scott, and thank you for joining us. Thank you, Estela, as the person that has got us all together. We have learned today that hemos aprendido que los latinos no somos los únicos a los que nos gusta hablar, ¿no? A los canadienses también. Okay, so well, it is a pleasure. I'm going to jump right into this program. We are going to chat a bit in English and a bit in Spanish because we want to share information that is relevant to both parents and children, young people. The topic is exactly the same thing that we've been talking about. ¿Por qué y cómo perseguir una educación formal? And what we've been discussing is, and I'm sure that all of you understand, is that it is much, much more important than many of us realize. It is crucial. No quiere decir que gente que no tenga educación formal no sea capaz. No quiere decir que gente sin educación formal no sea inteligente. Es más, a menudo es al contrario. Pero vivimos en un sistema que exige la educación. Entonces, si no la proseguimos, si no hacemos este esfuerzo para nosotros y para nuestros hijos, no nos estamos ayudando y estamos realmente cometiendo un grave error para el futuro. Hay muchísimas razones por las cuales estudiar, ustedes ya las han escuchado, no vamos a repetir. Acá hay una pequeña lista de algunas razones por las cuales es importante estudiar. The self-satisfaction. What we feel when we accomplish something, we say we're going to get there and wow, we did it. It is known that when we recognize and we're able to get something done, that tells us what else we can do. How far can we go? How do we get to where we're going? Education, starting with high school, is a path to more education. And the more you learn, the more you know, the better person you become, leads to better career opportunities. Again, it doesn't mean that not having an education will not allow some of you or some of us to have a good career. But it is many times easier and faster and better to have an education. Once a job is obtained, it is easier to get.
Maybe I didn't refresh it.
Usually people with an education get picked to go to supervisory positions, management, directorship, vice presidents.
I didn't refresh it.
The ability to earn higher wages. That gives us the ability to give. We cannot give what we do not have. This concept of getting money from rocks doesn't exist. So money has only one purpose, and that is to be spent. And how we spend it, in part to help social causes or corporate social responsibility, is a result of having been able to earn. So that is a very important aspect. The ability to stay in a job, something that many people don't realize. Better educated people have better health. Nuestra salud es mejor cuando tienen una mejor educación. Están directamente conectados. Ellos tuvieron un problema. Y últimamente, el último caso es becoming a good role for others. ¿Cómo nos ponemos como un ejemplo para otras personas, para nuestros hermanos, nuestros primos, nuestros hijos? Y eso es exactamente algo de lo que queremos hacer hoy. Queremos compartir con ustedes una serie de modelos, roles, cómo hicieron, qué hicieron. Hay muchos factores que influencian educarse o no educarse. Algunos son financieros, otros son no financieros, pero muy importantes. Tienen que ver con nuestro pasado, con nuestra comunidad, con nuestra lengua, con nuestro manejo del idioma. With the education system that sometimes doesn't work the way it should or we would like, but many have done it. So how have many done it? What did they do? Why many people, young, old, have managed to get an education, to pursue education sometimes in front of obstacles and become successful. So the idea today is to share with you through a very interesting panel where we have a dad and a high school daughter, Francisco and Catalina, a current college student, former university student, now re-pursuing education, Manuela, and 4 university students, also with a variety of backgrounds, Fernando, Andrea, Oscar, and Jose. So my job is to now direct questions to our panel. So thank you very much for joining us. Pleasure. We're all waiting to hear from you. So what we'll do is quickly, just for a minute or so, starting from the left, start and share with us your name, where you come from, what connection you have to your home country, okay, and where are you in your studies. Okay, so go ahead, please.
Buenos días a todos. Mi nombre es Oscar. I was born in El Salvador. I've been in school for quite some time now. Probably, I don't want to share how long because it might scare a lot of our students away. But I'm doing a PhD in immunology at the University of Toronto, and I'm loving it. But if you have any questions, I'm glad to answer.
Great, thank you. Fernando, please.
Buenas tardes, yo soy Fernando. I'll start in English and I'll go a bit of Spanish. So I'm a student at the University of Toronto. I did my undergraduate studies at the University of Toronto. I did an honors Bachelor of Arts in History, Latin American Studies, and minored in Philosophy. And then I continued at the University of Toronto. I entered into the law school, and I'm in my second year of a 3-year law program. Yo estudio en la Universidad de Toronto. Hice el bachelor's ahí en Historia, Estudios Latinoamericanos y Filosofía, y ahora estudio Derecho y estoy en el segundo año en la misma institución.
Cara.
Hola, mi nombre es Catalina Garzón, yo soy de Colombia. Viví en Canadá toda mi vida. Ahorita soy una estudiante en Iroquois Ridge High School. Pues sí.
Gracias.
Y hablo en español, o sea que puedo yo hablar en español. Mi nombre es Francisco Garzón, soy colombiano, ingeniero industrial, tengo una maestría en el área financiera. En Canadá, desde que llegué, he sido emprendedor, soy un broker en bienes raíces. Tengo una buena historia para contar en el sentido de que desde que llegué aquí he estado muy involucrado con la comunidad latina, apoyando a que el talento profesional nuestro, la gente, los trabajadores colombianos principalmente y los latinos que llegan a Canadá puedan desempeñarse dentro de sus campos profesionales. Soy fundador de una asociación de profesionales y vicepresidente de la Asociación de Profesionales Colombianos aquí, y algunas personas me conocen por la pasión que tengo de apoyar a la gente a sobresalir en Canadá.
Buenas, me llamo Andrea Vázquez Jiménez, nací acá en North York. Mis papás son colombianos. I had studied here Community and Justice Services. At college, I had then gone to university, studied law and society and political science. I currently am employed by Legal Aid Ontario to assist low-income Ontarians to have access to justice, as well as I'm a community activist with the Latin American Education Network.
Thank you, Andrea. Manu?
Buenas tardes, soy Manuel Estudillo, actualmente estoy en Hamburg College, soy de Ecuador y he estado trabajando por 11 años en órganos latinos.
Gracias. Josephine.
Hi everyone. Hi everyone, my name is Jocelyn Urbina. I was born in Ecuador, I was raised in Toronto. I'm currently a student at the University of Ontario. My program is called Community Development and Policy Studies. I specialize in health and education policies. I graduated in this upcoming April, and I'm currently in the process of applying to my master's program, which I hope will be in public policy.
Perfecto, gracias. Señores y señoras y jóvenes, vuestro panel. Entonces, queremos sentirnos como en casa. Si we were at home, we just want to have a chat, ¿no? Estamos sentados en la mesa, que nos cuenten un par de cosas, pero queremos que ustedes también pregunten qué es lo que quieran preguntar. Como se dice, ¿no? Hay un dicho en Argentina que dice a calzón quitado. Se habla sobre la mesa, ¿bien? Lo bueno, lo malo, lo feo. Esa es la idea, compartir, porque pensamos que es el mejor modo de aprender. Entonces, yo voy a coordinar, pero si tienen preguntas, por favor, ponen la mano y hacemos una pregunta, ¿no? So, we're going to start with a question for Catalina. Please tell us about your high school experience. Have you decided what to study? Are you in the process? What influenced your decisions?
Okay, I'm going to talk in English because it's a little bit easier. So right now I'm in grade 10 in high school, so I'm starting to kind of figure out where I want to go next. It's a big decision. It kind of seems surreal right now. It seems like it's way in the future. But it's a big decision, and a lot of things influence me in my daily life, like my parents and my friends, and just my surroundings in general. I think it's just keeping a positive attitude every day that I go to school. It's hard, obviously, sometimes I get tired, I don't want to go to school, but just maintaining a positive attitude so that I keep kind of pursuing my goals, and so that I have all these different open doors for me to go into in the future.
Are your parents helping you, or are they in the way?
My parents are definitely helping me. Obviously there's always conflicts with parents, but they always want the best for me, and they're always challenging me to do better, and I think that, though sometimes I can't see that, and a lot of, obviously, teenagers can't see that. They're like, oh, my parents are just trying to be difficult. I know they're challenging me, and they help me and they motivate me every day. So.
Great. Have you found times when things don't go the way you like them to go? Things are too hard or pressures?
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of times when, you know, you have a test and you're studying, or you have a lot of homework and you're like, I don't want to do this, or why am I still doing this class? I don't like this class, it's too hard. But like having friends and like the teachers at school and guidance counselors that can support you and guide you and find what's best for you helps a lot, because if you need something that's easier, something that's more challenging, something that suits your own personality better, it's always available for you around the school, so I think that's really important.
Great, thank you. So we'll switch now and then we'll see whether the story from your dad is the same. So, Francisco, desde tu punto de vista, como un padre, ¿no? Nos conocemos, somos amigos, yo sé cuán envuelto estás con la comunidad, pero ahora como padre, ¿cuál ha sido tu papel en la educación de tu hija? Y de tus hijos, porque tienes varios.
Pues yo creo que como todo padre de familia, uno siempre quiere lo mejor para los hijos. Yo me preocupo porque ellos vean en nosotros, en mi esposa y en mí, un ejemplo a seguir. O sea, yo creo y soy un convencido de que uno tiene que liderar, por ejemplo. O sea, y liderar, por ejemplo, no aplica únicamente para las empresas o para las cosas que uno haga fuera de la casa, sino dentro de la misma casa. Entonces, si uno ve que lo que uno hace para ellos, a ellos los inspira, yo creo que eso ya es bueno. Y eso es lo que tratamos de hacer con nuestro trabajo, con nuestros compromisos, etc.
¿Es fácil?
No es fácil. Y es mucho más difícil cuando está uno con hijos adolescentes. Mi hija mayor tiene 18 años y Catalina tiene 15, lo que hace que la comunicación entre padres y hijos sea un reto cada día. He sido muy disciplinado con el idioma. Ella habla muy bien español gracias a que he sacrificado mi inglés por conservarle su español. Y la comunicación muchas veces no es fácil por los idiomas, porque ella es más English speaker than Spanish speaker. Y muchas veces no encuentro la terminología precisa para poderle bajar información o consejos que le hicieran fácil entender las situaciones que uno vive en la vida. Pero yo creo que lo importante es que uno no puede cansarse y tiene que seguir intentando mantener esa comunicación, sea en el idioma que sea.
Exacto, gracias. Pasemos a Oscar. Oscar, también sé que estás estudiando, nos has compartido. From your point of view as a university student, tell us a bit about your experience, things that are working, things that are not working. Why did you choose what you're doing?
That's a loaded question. It's also a very hard question to answer in such a short time. What is working is definitely working hard, but I don't want to minimize it as just working hard. I think, like we heard earlier today, we have to one of the best things that has really helped me to excel in my studies is to learn how to be more efficient and find sources of inspiration. So for me, my comunidad is like a huge source of inspiration. And when I go to the lab and I do my work, I'm always keeping my family and my family back home in mind. And for me, that's instrumental because it gives you energy when you're tired. It gives you energy when you don't want to study. Because you have to. It's a responsibility, and I've always seen it like that.
Do you have siblings in the family? Are they studying? Are they planning to study?
No, so they both already finished their studies.
So how did that influence your future? Seeing your brothers that they have finished, did they have any influence?
So I was the first student to actually graduate high school in my family, and the first one to continue through university. And I think I probably inspired them to continue.
Fascinating. You know, it is a study that I'm going to show some examples from the study that was conducted. Finds that this is sometimes a motivating factor, the example that we can give to our families, our friends, our brothers and sisters. So that's fantastic. Fernando, tell us a bit about your experience and maybe some of the pressure, some of the issues that you ran into that you had to overcome.
Yeah, so I mean, I definitely want to echo what Oscar said about community. Community is such an important motivating factor, and I mean, when you talk about pressures, I think especially particularly as a Latin American student, and a bit of background, my parents are from Costa Rica. I was born in Canada, and I have two older siblings who were both born in the United States. So my family spent some time in North America before I was born. So as a Latin American student, especially in Canada, the time I was born, when the Latin American community was certainly not as visible as it's becoming now. And I think the fact that we're here and we're having this conference is a sign of that. But in any event, one of the biggest barriers you face is recognition that that as a Latin American, that higher education is something that you can aspire to, something that you belong in, something that you can earn. Because unfortunately, a lot of students, and this is my experience in growing up, you face these sorts of barriers and stereotypes that are constantly saying, oh, you're Latino, and like I remember hearing from my siblings that they would be told things like, oh, you're pretty smart for a Latin, you would do well in class and things like that. And having that example of my community, having that example of my older siblings who were able to get through that, who were able to work hard, who were able to have support from their family, from their friends, and understand that yes, this is something that I have the capacity to do, that I am intelligent enough to do, and that the fact that I'm Latino isn't a barrier to me. It's a boon. It's a strength. I have a community. I have a perspective in culture and language that other people don't have, and I have something to bring to the table.
That's fantastic. Thank you. So we will get back into that topic because that is a pretty deep topic, and it's an area that we have to work at, and that many of our brothers and sisters, manja cakes, our Canadian brothers, have to work as well. How do we address these issues? Having said that, we have to remember that we are not the only ones that have suffered discrimination. Antes de nosotros, o al mismo tiempo de nosotros, han estado los judíos, los pakistanos, los indios, los italianos, los irlandeses, y todos en un momento u otro han sufrido discriminación. Entonces no es nuevo, nos afecta porque claro, nos duele, pero bueno, ¿qué hacemos? Exacto, ¿cómo trabajamos para arreglar ese problema? Entonces vamos a volver a ese. Gracias. Manu, gracias por encontrarnos. Again, we know each other. We had the pleasure to work heavily during the Pan Am Games, and I have become very familiar with the work of Voces Latinas and the San Lorenzo Center and your family. I know you have a very interesting story. So, in your case, tell us a bit about your life. What influenced your decisions to study? You stopped studying, went to work, and now go back to school.
Well, when I was 13 years old, my dad had a very crazy idea of starting a Spanish radio station, which at the beginning nobody believed it because everyone thought, Spanish people having something like that, like the Spanish community never had something strong, something big. So when he started, I was a teenager, and like many teenagers, we always try to go against our parents. So he had me helping him there from the age of 13. Ever since there, I've been there. I went to school right after high school. I think it would have been probably better for me to wait because sometimes it's good to kind of see life and how important it is for you to have an education, because sometimes we don't really see that part. We think, even if we have an education or not, we're still going to have a job, and depending how much we get paid, that's what matters the most, and it isn't. Going back to school isn't just having a title, but it's really learning and growing as a human person. So one of the main things that pushed me is my father as an example, because he went back to school and just graduated a year ago, and was also my son. I have a little 3-year-old who I look at every single day and I think, how am I as a parent going to be able to tell them that you have to finish school or go to school if I don't do it? So I am currently back at school, and it's nice, it's interesting juggling between work, little 3-year-old and school.
Exactamente, ¿no? Una vida muy interesante, única, porque has trabajado en la radio, en el sector de media, y sos una mamá, tienes a alguien que te mira a vos, tenés un papá que él mismo decidió volver a la escuela, ¿no? Nos hemos hecho amigos con Orlando Astudillo. ¿Qué pensaste cuando tu padre dijo, mira, voy a ir de vuelta a la universidad? ¿Qué pensaste?
pensé que era algo bien challenging, porque yo dije, él tiene tantas cosas que está haciendo y cómo va a regresar a hacer su escuela y todo, pero al mismo tiempo dije, él me está demostrando que no existe una edad o un tiempo para regresar o para dejar de estudiar. Uno puede hacerlo mientras uno quiera y tenga esas ganas de querer seguir adelante. Entonces fue un impulso porque él siempre me decía, es bueno educarte, es bueno que sigas adelante, no por el título que vas a tener en esa pared, sino por todo el conocimiento que vas a llegar a tener y cómo vas a poder conocer más gente y lograr más cosas con ese conocimiento.
Perfecto, gracias. Jocelyn, desde tu punto de vista, ¿podrías compartir quizás, ¿no? Luego has hecho una carrera, sigues estudiando ahora. ¿Qué funcionó, qué no funcionó y cómo sobrepasaste algunos los obstáculos?
For me, my experience academically wasn't the easiest. I was like many students today that were I was more focused on my friends and, going out and partying or whatever. So for me, it took me a little while to actually overcome that, but behind all of it, it was my parents who were always there to make sure that I was on the right track. No matter what it was, my mom and my dad who were constantly behind me and letting me know, you have to be someone, you have to continue, you can't just stay behind. And I come from a family that nobody had actually graduated from school or nobody pursued post-secondary education. So coming from that, my parents were scared that it was going to be a repetition with myself as well. And really, for me to overcome these obstacles, it was very dependent on them.
Did you engage into chats with your mom, your dad, in terms of, what was coming? I mean, because if we don't go through it, we don't really understand how much work it is. In the case of Cara, she's in grade 10, but that's the grade she now has to plan what she's going to be. In your case, did you have this discussion? Did you start thinking about it?
In my case, I started at a very young age thinking about what I wanted to do. So it was in grade 9, when I was 14 years old, that I became very inspired in my geography class. And my teacher was talking about how there's a dire need of medical care in foreign countries. So that's what first launched me into the science side of things. So it was a constant conversation with both my parents. I was constantly saying that this is what I wanted to do, that I wanted to pursue medicine, and that's what it was. And they were always there, all ears. The only issue that we had was that my parents did not understand too well the education system. So a lot of the times I was the one doing the research on my own, but they were always on top of it as well. They always wanted to know what it was that I was researching, what it was that I had found, what it was that I wanted. So there was always communication, constant communication, even if it was me changing from one program to another or really finding what it was I wanted to do. They were always the first people that I would talk to.
Thank you. Andrea, okay, same thing in terms of your experience. Think about things that again worked, things that didn't, and how do you overcome to get to where you are today?
So definitely in regards to the changes, I had previously gone to school first in Rexdale, then Malton, and then my parents, due to family issues, moved us up to Brampton. So it was definitely a culture shock just because I was able to see myself represented in the student body and in the teachers at the schools in Rexdale and Malton, not so much in Brampton many years ago. So I definitely would say I did get disengaged to not see myself in there, but I kept going on. My parents would always tell me they both immigrated here, they met here, they had to leave their studies and they really wanted both my brother and I to pursue further education. I had then gone to high school. I was doing well until, same thing, there's like Fernando was saying, negative stereotypes. When I had gone to a guidance counselor, I had initially wanted to be a teacher, and they're like, oh, your grades are not too well, possibly pursue something else. I went through point B, C, and D, and then they ended up saying, how about doing hair? So what happened, I technically could have moved on to college. I decided to just do an extra year in high school. I met an amazing teacher that was actually very caring and trying to be very equitable and inclusive with their students, getting our voices out there. And it was this one politics class that made me feel like, you know what, I can definitely do this. And I actually used the negative feedback and the stereotypes to kind of like propel me forward. And with that stated, I still didn't have the grades to get into what I thought I had wanted to. So I went to general arts and science in George Brown. There was this one course that I took. I kind of found out that I want to get into criminal justice, helping supposedly at-risk youth. And I basically just from there, I'm like, I'm doing this, and I just kept going. And even once I finished college, I already had a job as a bail supervisor, and then my parents are like, oh wow, like you actually finished college. And they didn't expect me to go further on into university, and I'm like, you know what, I'm going to prove those people wrong. So for me, it was using the negative feedback, the stereotypes, to propel me forward.
In 2007, the Higher Education Council of Ontario conducted a very coast-to-coast study to try to analyze why young people study, why they don't, why Aboriginals study, why they don't, why visible minorities study, why they don't, who graduates, who doesn't graduate, how many females versus males. It's a very comprehensive study. York University has used this study to try to help in different community areas. So in preparing here, I was reading and I took some points, and I'd like to ask you what you think about them. Okay, so one of the points that comes from this fairly comprehensive study is that higher visible minority students have a higher propensity for higher education. So let me repeat. Higher visible minority students have a higher propensity for higher education. Eso quiere decir que minorías visibles, por lo general, estudian más en la universidad que los no minorities. El 34% de visible minorities go into college university, even though they are only the 19% of the population. So they are small, but a larger number goes to university. So that is something that not everybody knows. We think that because we are visible minority, we don't go to school. It's exactly the opposite. Visible minorities go to school more than Canadians do. What do you think about that? What is your opinion?
Can I actually just have one clarification? When you state marginalized communities, is it a focus on the Latin American diaspora, or is it just all?
Visible communities, exactly. So that's the interesting thing. And thank you for catching that point. That's a very interesting point. And it has to do with how do we understand what the problem is and how do we fix it. Okay. At a meeting that I was at on Wednesday, question was asked, the audience, about 130 people from different Latin American countries. They were asked who here is a Canadian. And guess what? Everybody could let their hands up. The speaker wanted to say who is really Canadian as opposed to Latin America. So all of them see themselves as Canadians. All of us are Canadians. All will be Canadians. So when we think of visible minorities, it's not just Latin America, it's all of us. Okay? And we have to realize that others have the same problems we have. We're not really special. No, of course, we're special, but we're not that special. So, given that, I mean, in your case, did you ever have a doubt that you were smart enough to study? Did you ever put in doubt that, hey, I cannot go to school because I'm a visible minority? Oscar?
So I kind of like to comment on that. I think, and it kind of resonates with what Fernando said. I personally never doubted myself. I think if I ever did doubt myself, it was like my teachers sometimes that they were, like Fernando said, they provide obstacles. That's what I said. And then, like Andrea pointed out, we have to we have to really look at the statistics, because for me, I didn't have a lot of peers in my university classrooms, and I think that's a problem. I think we need to have more students.
Absolutely, you know, and that's the simply, but you never doubted that you had the smarts and the capabilities and the interest, okay? And when Fernando mentioned earlier that somebody, and I do know, because I think that is a fascinating comment. No, you're pretty smart to be Latin, right? And I have heard that before. I have lived in Canada for 36 years. I've seen lots of discrimination, both at school and in corporations. But the answer should be, what do you mean? What do you mean? We are very smart people. Okay, so that indicates that the problem is on the other side. They don't get it. See? And then but again, how do we address it? Okay, if we get upset and get all bad, then leave it. If we deal with the problem, then solve it. Please, Francisco.
Yo me estaba acordando de un dicho, soy muy malo con los dichos, pero hay un dicho que dice que, no sé cómo se llaman aquí, las cometas. Las cometas se elevan contra el viento, ¿no? O sea, yo lo que estoy tratando de decir es, a mí me encantan los retos y es algo que le enseño mucho a mis hijas. Cuando nosotros los inmigrantes venimos a un país como estos, es porque estamos dispuestos a luchar y a salir adelante. Y no va a ser fácil. Y si los retos son grandes, pues nosotros tenemos que ser más grandes que los retos. Yo creo que los muchachos que van a la universidad, los muchachos que van al colegio, los inmigrantes que llegamos acá, Víctor lo decía hace unos minutos, podemos meter muchos temas de discriminación como excusa, que muchas veces son excusas que nosotros mismos nos damos a falta de nuestra capacidad de luchar. Si nosotros demostramos que somos capaces, nosotros vamos a lograr las cosas. Yo les voy a contar una anécdota. Cuando yo empecé a trabajar como realtor en Canadá hace 12 años, eran 110 realtors en mi oficina. Yo era una persona que escasamente me podía comunicar en inglés. Tenía un inglés, hablo en español porque mi inglés sigue, 12 años después sigue siendo... Ese año terminé de quinto en mi oficina sobre 110 realtors. 50 realtors eran canadienses y el resto eran inmigrantes. Y yo mismo me probé a mí mismo que con toda la dificultad de idioma, no conocer la ciudad, no conocer las calles, no conocer nada, comenzando, podría llegar lejos. Y lo he hecho. Y lo he hecho enfocado no en las barreras que me pongan, sino en la capacidad que yo tenga para sobreponerme a los retos. Entonces siempre piensen que las cometas se elevan contra el viento.
Cara and then José.
Solo para como agregarle a mi papá, o sea, se los voy a poner como en una forma más pequeña. Cuando yo me gradué de grado 8, o sea, tenía solamente 13 años, era pequeña, no una cosa muy grande, hubo un award, un premio, que le dieron a los 10 mejor académicos estudiantes del colegio. Y cuando llamaron todos los nombres, yo fui una, y recibimos nuestros premios. Y luego nos sentamos y cuando se acabó la graduación muchos papás me vinieron y me dijeron, muy bien hecho, ¿no? Y un papá me acercó y me dijo, viste como todos los estudiantes, de los 10 que había uno que era canadiense y había 9 que éramos inmigrantes. Entonces eso solo muestra como todas las discriminaciones y todas las cosas que dicen de nosotros no son verdad. Nosotros, por tener esa discriminación, como dijiste Andrea, eso nos da más fuerza para seguir adelante y para salir exigente.
Exactamente. Tenemos un nuevo gobierno federal liderado por el honorable Trudeau. ¿Ustedes recuerdan cuál fue una de las campañas contra Trudeau, ¿no? Lindo pelo, pero muy joven, ¿no? ¿Y qué hizo? ¿Qué dicen los diarios que hizo el honorable Trudeau? Él tomó el camino elevado. Ignoremos, ¿no? Porque si nos ponemos al mismo lugar, al mismo nivel, nos bajamos. Entonces, eso es exactamente lo que estamos diciendo, ¿no es cierto? muchas veces estos comentarios pasan porque son comentarios de gente que no entiende realmente, ¿no? Jocelyn, please.
So I would just like to add on to what they have just said in terms of excuses and discrimination. And I think that something that's really, really important is for us to stop believing the social construct that we've been submitted to, the fact that we're immigrants and that we're incapable and all of that stuff. I don't think that we should keep working with the idea that we're inferior. Like when we are here, we work as an equal, and I think that's incredibly important to keep in mind, as opposed to thinking, no, I'm a minority, I can't do it, maybe they're right, I'm gonna be just another statistic in the system. I think it's very important to keep in mind that we are all different, but in terms of working and perseverance, like we are equal. We should stop believing that we are inferior.
I have a question. I have a question from the audience, and please, if you have questions, please put your hands up, because this is supposed to be a chat. The first question, so we have one question over there, and maybe can we share a microphone? Could we share this microphone with this individual over there? Okay. And while we do that, a question I have, okay, and please tell me who would like to answer. Do you think, panel, do you think you have had better opportunities than your parents had? So, Francisco, we're going to leave you aside. Now it's for the young panel. Manuel, please.
I think that most of our parents came here to give us a better education. And with that itself, being in a country where, for example, I went to live down to Ecuador for approximately 2 years, and I thought to myself, well, I can study here as well, go to university, I've got free education, and do so many things more. But the title that our parents, most of them got, if they did, in their own countries, coming to North America, it's so much more difficult for them to get it. It's not impossible. Nothing's impossible. But it is more difficult. And being in a country like Canada and being able to go to college or university or even do certificates is just such a big opportunity to, go farther. And a title, if we ever want to go back to South America or Europe or anywhere else, a title from Canada has such a big impact that it really does open up doors.
Exactly. Any other comments? Do we, Andrea, please?
So in regards to my parents, they definitely had to sacrifice their education. My mom had come here when she was 18. She was unable to finish high school. My dad, when he came here, so they met in Canada. My dad had to leave university, and both of them were working here multiple jobs to give back to their families in Colombia. And with that then came family. They had to take care of us. They were never able to finish their studies. That's why they did embed that idea that pursue education. We didn't get this chance, but it's up to you now. We've provided you with a better place to pursue that education. And even, it was extremely difficult to obtain OSAP. They didn't accept me for the first year, and we had to kind of do some form of fundraising to pursue education, because if you don't have access to the funds or access to financial assistance, it just makes it that much more difficult. But thankfully, I was able to get OSAP eventually, and I definitely did get better chances here than my parents.
Exactly. Oscar?
So without a doubt, I think that the opportunities that I have are doors that have opened for me are much greater than the ones that my parents had opened, and they definitely did open for me. I'd like to take my experience, for example. So I have a brother that stayed back in El Salvador because we came to Canada as refugees because of the war that was happening in El Salvador at the time. And if you just see what happened, the things that I was able to accomplish in my life, my brother's life, they're very, very different. And he's had, he's finding a stable job for him back in El Salvador. It's been really hard, and it really is unjust, because I'm sure that if he was in my shoes, he would have been able to accomplish the same things. But because El Salvador suffered such a drastic infrastructure that was damaged because of the Civil War, it wasn't possible. And I think it's really unfair, because no event in history happens in isolation. What happened in El Salvador, for example, was not an internal thing. There were external forces that were allowing this to happen. And it is an injustice, and being here and being able to share my experience with you is shed light on the topic.
Exactly. Have many of you seen the movie Saving Private Ryan? No. It's a movie about 7 soldiers who are sent to Europe to save 1 soldier. And at the end, all of them except 1 die. So 6 people die to bring 1 person back. And the last sentence, las últimas palabras que dice el oficial a esta persona que fue salvada fue "Make it count". ¿Sí? So, la respuesta a la pregunta, ¿nuestros jóvenes tienen mejores oportunidades? Por supuesto que sí. Por supuesto. Por eso hemos venido a Canadá, para darles una oportunidad. Entonces, el reto es make it count. Let's take advantage of these things. Tenemos una pregunta, sí, por favor.
All right, so this question goes out to Jocelyn. What was the pivotal moment in your life, the turning point in your life where you decided to say, okay, I'm going to buckle down on my studies, and here I am today?
So that would have to be my mom when she yelled at me and hit me and all of that nonsense and told me that if I don't get, myself together, that it was over. So, I mean, that's really what it was. It was just seeing that I was getting nowhere with what I was doing for myself. My mom telling me that that was it, that I needed to move on. And it was just hearing a lot of negative feedback from teachers and family members saying that I wasn't going to do it, that I was never going to do it, that I wasn't going to graduate high school or go into post-secondary or anything like that, that my end goal was going to be cleaning or working at McDonald's or something like that. So just hearing all of that negative feedback is what made me turn it around for myself to make it into something positive. I would have to say that my proudest moment in turning myself around was when I graduated high school. My science teacher, who had said that I wasn't going to graduate whatsoever, that this was it, I wasn't going to do anything, she was actually the one that pinned the rose on my graduation gown. And so she didn't even want to talk to me. She was just like, here's your rose, go do whatever you have to do. So I mean, that would have to be my proudest moment in accomplishing turning myself around.
Thank you. So we are going to have one last question before we wrap this up. And I'm going to refer back to this study published by the Higher Education Council of Ontario. This study, and this is actually what it says the more extracurricular activities one is involved in, the higher the educational aspirations the person has. There is a direct increase in social capital that leads to higher education, aspirations, and attainment. So this indicates a correlation between being involved in volunteer causes, non-profit, giving, and your education. What do you think? Fernando y Andrea.
Okay, I'll jump in on this one. So I mean, getting involved in extracurricular activities, be that volunteering, be that sports, be that social activities, it's an incredibly important developmental experience for a young person to have, because nothing, in my experience, teaches you better how to organize yourself than when you're juggling multiple responsibilities. And when you have the opportunity to get involved in extracurricular activities, because it's a reality that not everyone has these opportunities. A lot of young people have to work part-time jobs, and maybe it's a little more difficult to find the time to participate in both studies and extracurricular activities. But at the same time, you're getting that same life experience. You're getting that same developmental formational experience of being able to juggle multiple tasks and succeed at multiple tasks makes you a stronger person, and it helps you mature because you're dealing with multiple opportunities.
Thank you.
So in my experience with extracurricular activities, I didn't actually start getting into community work or anything like that until I actually was already in college. When I was younger, my parents were unable to afford like extracurricular activities because they are quite expensive. Thankfully, my school did have like volleyball classes that we were able to pursue like 2 hours once a week. Even with going into extracurricular activities, I had joined a community group that was actually to do community activist work, and it was actually criminalized as a quote-unquote gang. A lot of those people were deported. Thankfully, to my privilege with my immigration status, I got to continue my studies, and now thankfully I was able to find other avenues with linking back to my Latin American community, and now thankfully I'm a co-chair for another community that is able to do community activism for those who are unable to, and that has definitely assisted me through university to even make me want to do better and even potentially pursue masters.
Excellent. Thank you. So, here you are, the 7 of you sitting in front of an audience. You have parents, you have moms, dads, children, young people. 1 to 3 words each. What would you tell these people? Not long, but 1 to 3 words. Tell the audience something. We start here, Oscar, and go all the way down.
I would say to all the parents, thank you and keep doing a great job. There's no doubt in my mind that you guys are all great parents for your kids. And que dicen buena cosa y demuestran un gran ejemplo. And to the youth, so I would just say continue doing that. To the youth, I would say don't doubt yourself, believe in yourself, and just keep moving forward.
Thank you.
I'll use my 3 words, keep it short and sweet. Sí se puede.
Sí se puede.
I think I would have to say, do it for yourself. Just make it gratifying for yourself. Being able to have an education is something that's really gratifying.
Great words. Thank you.
Yo diría que no esperen a que les den cosas. Tomen ustedes la iniciativa y den ustedes.
Gracias. Perfecto. Andrea?
I would say basically believe in your potential, and you are definitely worth it, and do it for yourself. It's worth it.
I would have to say don't give up. Nothing that is easy, comes without work. So just keep at it and do not give up.
I say that hard work really does pay off. I know that school seems long and it's tough, but time really does fly, especially if you're working really hard at something that you truly want to do, something that you're very passionate about.
Gracias. Thank you. Todos conocemos el dicho, no dejemos para mañana lo que debemos hacer hoy. Grade 10 is a crucial year. Post-secondary education options are affected by what course decisions you take in grade 10. We have a college system that is incredibly good, one of the best in the world. We have a university system that is extremely good. We have technical schools, we have lots of opportunities, but we have to make a decision. If we wait until our child has finished high school, it may be too late. It doesn't mean that it's impossible, but we have to work more, so let's work on time. Una historia que se repite, ¿no? Este tema de hacer que nuestros hijos estudien, de educarnos, ha sido muy tratado. Hay mucha gente trabajando en estos sistemas, muchos estudios, pero hay una historia que se repite de nuevo, y de nuevo, y de nuevo, y de nuevo. Parental influence has a large net effect on higher education aspirations, participation, and persistence. No quiere decir que los padres tienen que ser educados, o doctores, o ingenieros. Quiere decir que los padres tienen que estar interesados en el futuro de nuestros hijos. Y tenemos muchísimos ejemplos, y eso es lo que queremos. Estamos aquí para ayudar a muchísima gente como Estela, de CCN y muchos, este mismo grupo, y eso es entender cómo ayudar. Y para terminar, tenemos una oportunidad, y esa es la oportunidad de level the playing field. ¿Ustedes saben qué significa esto? ¿No? Imagínense jugando un partido de fútbol y la cancha está así. ¿Quién tiene más potencial de ganar? ¿La gente de acá o la gente de acá? Si el playing field está level, todos tienen la misma oportunidad. Nuestra oportunidad como padre es ayudar a nuestros hijos a que todos tengan la misma oportunidad. Y entonces trabajar para tener un éxito y bueno, disfrutar de eso. Muchas gracias.